All right, welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for coming along tonight. It's always great to see such a good turnout at these events. Yeah, we put a lot of effort into them, so yeah, it's good to see you all coming along and enjoying it. Great to see so many new faces as well. Hands up who hasn't been to one of these before. Yeah, that's what I figured. Awesome to have you along.
Ask them why they came.
Yeah, so why did you get so hands up who came for the Windows 10 session?
Right.
And for the amazing things with Power BI session. Well, it's not too bad actually. It's a 50-50. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so as I said, welcome to the user group. So tonight we do have two pretty cool sessions, one on Windows 10, one on amazing things we can do with Power BI, thanks to our guest speaker, Rizarad. So yeah, awesome to have you along. Thanks a lot. No worries, mate. Yeah, other than that, I'll be starting with a bit of an overview of what's been going on in the world of Microsoft Cloud over the past month or so. But yeah, before we get into that, bit of housekeeping. If anyone needs to head out to the toilets at any point during tonight, they are located near the elevators when you came in. So just go back out past reception, past the elevators, and then the men's toilet's on the right, and the ladies is just before that. To get back in here, though, you'll have to get a tag. The tags are located on this door handle, and if you don't have one of those, you will get trapped, and you will not be able to get back in, so you have to get stuck there until the cleaners come find you. All right. Other than that, yeah, we're good to crack on. Unfortunately, Aben couldn't come along tonight. He was supposed to be doing the MC bit, but yeah, he sends his apologies. Cool. So let me get into it. Awesome. So news from the Microsoft Cloud. So there's a bunch of Office 365 news that came out over the past month. Here's my top few items. Huge. Yeah. So Microsoft Stream. So this is a new service that is currently in preview for Microsoft. Kind of part of Office 365, and it allows you to have kind of a corporate video channel, also like a corporate YouTube. So anyone in the business can upload videos and tag them and create channels and share them externally, share them internally. Yeah, sort of to your heart's content. So the point of it is that people get more engaged and you have that power of video, right? So if you've got like learning content that you put up there, you can share that with your organization, especially if you're dispersed. That helps a lot. So if you've thought that you've heard of this before, you probably have, because there's currently a service called Videos in Office 365. So from what I've read, the current video experience is staying as it is for the moment, with Stream being an alternative experience for you to start using now, if you like. And eventually down the track, the two streams will combine. So from what I gather, Microsoft's going to be sort of stopping development on 365 videos and putting more development into Stream. And then eventually the content in Office 365 videos will get absorbed into Microsoft Stream. So if you're using videos at the moment, just carry on doing what you're doing. If you're not, then I wouldn't start with Office 365 videos. I'd go into Stream to do that. Does anyone see much of a use for that in your business today? Like, do you have any private video channels that you think you would use? Or Daryl's got his hand up.
Yeah, just to start the discussion, I work with a Seattle-based company, and we've got various teams around the world. And for some reason, the mothership, who's based in Seattle, runs most of the meetings at 3 a.m. in the morning. So I don't fancy getting into that time. We record them off Skype for Business, we drop them into Office 365 video, and then people like me and other teams in Singapore and Aussie can catch up with what was discussed. Pretty practical, pretty easy to use.
Awesome, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen a fair few people use like Yammer groups as a way to organize all that sort of information. But having it directly in Office 365 in a dedicated service makes a lot more sense to me.
Can you put it in Microsoft groups?
I don't know.
I can answer
that.
What's that?
I can answer that. The video service is quite separate, so if you grab a URL, you can chuck it anywhere. It can be embedded in some places around the 365 services, but maybe that's where Stream's going to be an improvement.
Cool.
Because I see it on boarding, etc. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
training,
Yeah, induction,
being
that
a
sort of
trainer.
stuff. Yeah. Instead of keeping these videos on your file system somewhere, just keep it up there. Cool. So if you want to know more about it, head along to stream.microsoft.com. It's free to sign up at the moment. It's still in preview, but you still need to sign up to actually use it. And once you do, it sort of says like, who else do you think would be keen on this? And you can like enter their email addresses in, and it spams them and tells them to start using the service. So yeah, give it a shot if you think that'll be useful for you. Next up, we have Microsoft Bookings. I find this one pretty interesting. Even a lot of the people at the office who keep an eye on Microsoft comes and goes quite a lot found this to be new and interesting. So essentially what it is a appointment scheduling service that Microsoft has put together, which integrates with Outlook and the rest of Office 365. So it's really handy for, if you can imagine, people like dentists and possibly doctors and hairdressers sort of thing. So any sort of service industry where you'd have a general population wanting to book in a service with you, and you may have different service providers within your organization. Microsoft Bookings essentially creates the service where you can set up a booking page. That's this little bit over here, you probably can't see it. Yeah, you can configure that with all the parameters of what service you provide, and then it will generate a web page that you can add to your own web page for people to actually book a service through that. And then out the back end of that, it does things like alerting, so it'll automatically send emails to the people who have booked in with you. Lets you know if someone's cancelled and all that sort of functionality.
So to run a restaurant with it.
Yes, which is good. Absolutely. And you can even choose what table you want to sit at, technically. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of opportunity with it. From what I read, though, it's not actually available in any of the enterprise SKUs in Office 365. It's only available in Business Premium, which kind of makes sense because it's more aimed at kind of small business operators, like people like hairdressers and restaurants and that sort of thing. Now, if you're a big corporate, it's probably not going to fulfill your needs. So while it seems quite restrictive to not be able to have it at all if you've got an enterprise SKU, it still kind of makes sense. There's a pretty good video. It's only a minute long, so I'll try to show it to you. We were having some issues with this earlier, so hopefully things are working. There it is. Let me click play.
She owns a pet grooming business. She's also the chief financial officer, inventory supervisor, and janitor. Sarah loves her business because she loves dogs. But Sarah has her hands full. She spends so much time scheduling appointments, she sometimes loses focus on her clients. And to make sure those clients show up, Sarah plays phone tag a lot. But with Microsoft Bookings, Sarah can spend less time scheduling because Sarah's customers can now book appointments whenever it's convenient, like right about now. Her customers simply go to her website, see what's available, book the service, the day, even the staff member. The information shows up across all of Sarah's devices. And the customer gets a confirmation and reminder email that they can easily add to their calendar. No phone tag, no stress. Everything is scheduled. And Sarah can focus on what she loves best, making sure every dog has his day. That's how you grow a business. Way to go, Sarah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
General available now, or preview?
What would my notes say? I think it's generally available now, but there's an app that's still coming. So if you have a business premium SKU in Office 365, you should be able to get to this now. But Microsoft's obviously still working on it, and they're going to be launching an app pretty soon. To be able to manage all that stuff on the go. Cool. Yes, there's obviously a few other services out there that probably do the same sort of thing, but obviously where the real power comes in is that deep integration with the rest of Office 365 suite that you got. So it keeps all your business stuff sort of in one place. Cool. Next up, our focused inbox. So hands up here, who have you used Clutter, the Clutter service in Office 365? Any more of you heard about it, but not used it?
It's kind of coming and going. And
Yeah,
occasionally
so,
remind you and occasionally
so the-
What was
it
their
actually
experience
disappeared 2 weeks ago.
yeah, the people who have used it, what was your experience like? Yeah. You want to say good, bad, annoying, useful? What's that? It's up to you.
Confusing?
Confusing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's there.
Right.
Don't understand what completely it's about.
So the point of Clutter was that it's supposed to file away all the email that it thinks you don't need to look at immediately. So all the email that's not important, right? So that your primary inbox contains only email that you should really be addressing. And the way it did that was through some Azure machine learning smarts in the background. So it monitors the way that you read your emails, and if you spend a lot of time reading emails from certain people, or it sees someone from inside your company, or someone that's sent an email to you directly rather than being part of a group, all these sorts of clues it picks up on and uses that to work out whether the next email that arrives in your inbox is something that you would ordinarily read, or whether it should file it away for later.
It was kind of like a semi-junk.
It's like junk, but
in a good way.
but much more clever than what.
Think of it as purgatory for junk.
Yeah.
Just before hell.
Yeah, literally. So I mean, I used it quite extensively, and I found it quite handy. So like, I have it turned on, and I only check my Clutter folder once a week. So just run through there and see if there's anything that it missed that I should really read about.
Gives you a nice summary too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I find it quite handy. You know, I find it probably 90% accurate. Like every now and then there'd be a couple of emails that I would actually be interested in, which is put into the Clutter folder. So Outlook focused inbox then is the same sort of concepts, but almost in reverse. So instead of filing away the email that it thinks you shouldn't be looking at, it brings the email it thinks you should be looking at to the forefront. Yeah. And the way it does that is through a separate tab. So in Outlook, or Outlook Online at the moment, the web app, you see there's like a focus tab, and there'll be another tab if you have the service enabled. So it's been available on the iOS and Android app for a while now, but it hasn't actually come through to the Outlook clients on the desktop. Yeah, it's coming out September.
Yeah.
So the actual Outlook desktop client's going to be getting it, and the OA web app version of Outlook is going to be getting it around September time. From what I read though, if you have Clutter enabled, you can't have focused inbox enabled. Yeah, so it's kind of an either or.
Exclusive.
What's that?
Mutually exclusive.
Yeah, pretty much. Because kind of like how Office 365 videos is changing to stream, Clutter is kind of changing to focused inbox. So they're deprecating, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you think about how it's set up too, like Clutter files it off to another folder, whereas Focus leaves it in your inbox. So if you're pushing your unfocused mail off to another folder, it really can't focus on that, or not focus on that.
Yeah, so if you're currently using Clutter, you have to opt out of Clutter and opt into Focus, but eventually you'll be forced to do that because Clutter will get removed. Cool. So another quick video to show you on that, if I didn't explain that sort of well enough.
Second tab.
Yeah, there it is.
That wasn't a rhetorical question, are you tired of email overload?
Yes, that was a quick demo of what you can expect come September time. And just back to the slideshow. Cool. Next thing, OneDrive had a bunch of changes made to it. So there's some cool new features like what happened this day feature. So when you first log into OneDrive and you go to your photos section, it'll actually have a view of photos that happened on that day, like over the years. So it's kind of cool to jog your memory.
Is that even within the business subscription?
No, this is OneDrive Personal, sorry. So the hand over the Office 365 bit.
Yes, last year's Christmas party.
Yeah, hey. Yes, there's that, and then there's also a feature called automatic albums. So if you upload a bunch of photographs that were taken at the same location over a sort of fixed period of time, and OneDrive notices that, it'll automatically create an album for all those pictures, which makes it just kind of easier. Actually, you don't need to do that yourself. But the feature that everyone was talking about and was interested in was the poker detector. So this is kind of cool, right? So this is using some Azure Smarts in the background. So how many of you play Pokemon Go? Hands up. Must be more than one. Yeah, I reckon.
Thank you for your honesty.
So yeah, a bunch of the kids these days are playing this cool new game called Pokemon Go.
Only the cool kids.
Only the cool kids. And so you walk around the real world and you find Pokemon and try and catch them, right? So you get a screenshot like that on your phone, where this guy's got a Pikachu, which is kind of a rare Pokemon, so he's like really excited about it. So captures that screenshot so he can like share it on social media or whatever. If his phone is running the OneDrive app to automatically upload your camera roll into the cloud storage, into OneDrive specifically, all of the pictures that go into OneDrive have some smarts run over them, right? Where OneDrive tries to work out what's inside that picture. So it works at the moment for things like it'll tell you if there's trees in the picture or if it's blue or green or whatever. So another level of intelligence that is added is the Pokemon detector. So the clever dudes at Microsoft and Guilds have created some logic to let it identify 150 different species of Pokemon. And if it notices one of these Pokemon in an image, it'll actually tag it with the Pokemon hashtag. So that when you go into your OneDrive and you go to your photo section and look at tags, you can have a look at all the Pokemon pictures that you got.
All that you caught.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of cool. It's a cool example of some of the stuff that Cognitive Services does in Azure. And you can leverage the same APIs to look for other stuff that you actually may be interested in.
And you don't want your photos analyzed?
I'm not sure if you can turn it off.
This is not seen in my publicly, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody know how to get a Pikachu by If you actually see other Pokemons around, sidestep 5 times and Pikachu will arrive every time. You have to pick that out of the air.
Have you tried this standing?
Well, there's your pro tip for the day.
I'm not sure about the OneDrive settings. If you don't want to analyze, don't send it to OneDrive.
Yeah. I find the analyzing quite handy though. Like if you're looking for a picture of a particular person or some scenery, like you're at a place, you can just search for that and that's already been tagged for you.
I suppose some people wouldn't come.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they probably won't put their photos in OneDrive
or Facebook
or one of those things.
Because Facebook does the same thing.
Yeah. But you're aware of it.
Yeah, true.
That's cool.
All right, so those are my 365 bits and pieces. There wasn't that much news in Azure really over the past month. There was a lot of services that went to GA, but not much new that we haven't seen before. The one cool new thing that I did see though was VNet peering. So this is pretty awesome. So previously, if you had VNet A with some machines in it, and you had a separate virtual network or virtual network B, and you needed those machines to talk to each other, the only way you could really do it was either out of Azure, over the internet and back in again, or you could create what was called a VNet to VNet connection, right, within Azure. But creating a VNet to VNet connection is essentially creating a VPN between those two networks in the Azure backend, which means that you had to have 2 different gateways, like on either end, and you'd be paying for those gateways, just to do some internal routing, which doesn't really seem to provide that much benefit. So this cool new feature now is that you can actually get rid of those gateways and peer 2 VNets directly to each other through Azure, right? So obviously you need to keep in mind things like network address spacing and all that, so that they can actually kind of route to each other. But Azure handles all that routing in the back end. You don't need to worry about the actual connection between them anymore. So that's pretty cool. Saves money, easier to set up. All around a really good idea, I think. So yeah, it links VNets and routes traffics with no gateway. One of the requirements is that both VNets have to be in the same region, so in the same Azure data center. Okay. But the VNets can actually be in different subscriptions. So they don't have to be in your own subscriptions. They could be in, if you have like a parent subscription and some child subscriptions, that's all good. You can just connect them together.
Between other partner subscriptions?
Yeah, any subscription that like you have access to, you can do that. That's pretty cool. And it even works between ARM and ASM VNets. So if you're not sure what that means, like ASM was the old way of doing things and ARM is the new way of doing things. So if you deployed some servers in Azure a year or two ago, they would have been built using ASM. And if you deploy anything today, probably would have been built using ARM. And that used to be quite a mission to get those two to talk to each other. Whereas now with VNet peering, you can actually just connect those two VNets together. So it makes migration a lot easier.
Use Microsoft Flow to copy the files across.
I'm not sure. Daryl? Flow?
Microsoft Flow.
Yeah, would you?
No. Sounds like a business idea. You talk.
Yeah.
Because you can use OneDrive Flow copy across.
Right. I mean, as long as it's inside Azure and you can see it, and you'd be able to route to it using VNet to VNet. This just makes things a lot easier. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So in the Azure portal, you'll see the new section. So if you open up your VNet and go to the settings, there's actually this new peerings section in the portal there. So then you basically just go add and create a new peering from the VNet you want to connect to another VNet, and then it just magically works. Or it should. I actually tried it this afternoon and it didn't work. It said the feature wasn't enabled in my subscription. I'm not sure. It's supposed to be enabled everywhere, I thought. Because it's not something you can really sign up for. It's there. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but I'll try again tomorrow and hopefully it's fixed. And just running through a bit more quickly. So a bit of news from the user group. So just a heads up, we're working on a new name. This is something we've been talking about for a while. Historically, where we came from, so we had the New Zealand Microsoft Cloud user group, and then which was run by Daryl and another guy, Brendan. And then there was the Auckland Microsoft Infrastructure user group, which was run by Farhan and myself. And then we joined together to join forces, and we became the New Zealand Microsoft Cloud and Infrastructure user group. And that was great for about a year or so. And then earlier this year, we actually joined up with the Auckland SharePoint user group. And we haven't changed the name since then, but it's kind of not reflecting the SharePoint people at all.
Just Cloud user group.
So obviously one of the possibilities is the
That's quite a hashtag.
yeah, I reckon it's the Auckland, New Zealand, Microsoft Cloud, Infrastructure, and SharePoint user group, which is not ideal. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. So it's a work in progress. So hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have a better idea as to what we want to be called, and but we'll let you know through the
Definitely
update.
open to suggestions.
Yeah, exactly. Got one from there, just a cloud user group.
Auckland
Doesn't
Yeah,
involve infrastructure.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
No infrastructure, just all.
I'll be good.
Cloud user group.
Next bit, we are keen to introduce a new segment. So month after month, we kind of get up here and present to you guys and kind of get a little bit of interaction. But what we'd like is more from you, if you can. And this is also a good opportunity if any of you are interested in coming up here and just having a discussion or talking about something, or if you're presenting at Ignite and you want a bit of practice presenting stuff, please feel free, put your hand up, come up here. We're definitely after a possibility to sort of expand this sort of inner circle that we've got going. So people like, Rez is great to have along, but he's an MVP already, If there's anyone else out there aspiring to be an MVP and you just want some opportunity, that's a great forum for that.
Or even just to kind of break that loop or that bubble. I'm a firm believer that the community is the expert, and there's no way in hell I'm going to keep up with everything. So we kind of lean on each other to find stuff out. I was just talking with Richard Bright was having a close look at remote app in Azure, and I thought, well, I haven't really spent much time on that. And it'd be good to hear how you guys are using the technology to make it feel like a user group. You know, like we can. I know we're a big group, and maybe some of us are a little shy, but you know, the idea is to create that segment.
Yeah, totally. So some key points. You know, it doesn't have to be a massive thing. We're looking like 5 to 10 minute bite-sized chunk. Just come up here, have a chat, sit down. It doesn't have to be that daunting. You know? Presentation, demonstration, discussion, up to you. If you want to come up here and just throw somebody out there and say, hey, who's used this? I'm keen to know more about it. What's your experience with it? That's great. All right, 5 to 10 minutes, not a problem. Yeah, we'd like to focus on your stories and your experience. You know, so not just sort of purely theoretical, because you can kind of find that online. But you know, if you've used it and you have an opinion about a product or a service that Microsoft has, yeah, it'll be great to hear from you and see how it's working out for you. Importantly, though, if there's any business owners or salespeople in the room, it's not an opportunity to come up here and sell your products. I thought I just have to put that out there because it could get kind of awkward. Someone come up here, all you guys come along expecting a good user group, and there's someone up here busy, drumming, and come talk to me tomorrow. I can give you a good deal on this. So that's not what we're after. So yeah, if you are at all interested in that sort of idea, just please hit us up on the meetup group, send us a message, and we can see if we can get a few people to come up here and spice things up a bit.
Just as a general reaction, does that sound like a good idea?
It does. It does. Yeah.
Cool, awesome.
Everyone who nodded is now on my list.
It's being recorded.
Camera's
pointing that way, not that way.
And then the last thing to cover tonight is that we're thinking of a new time slot. So currently, the first week of every month has the CRM user group, the cloud and infrastructure user group, and the unified comms user group, like 3 consecutive days. And then for the rest of the month, there's kind of not much on. So if you're interested in all 3 of those areas, it's kind of a lot to ask for people to come along to 3 consecutive user groups in the same week. So we figure it's a better idea is if we can kind of spread things out a bit. So what we're looking at doing is moving Cloud and Infra user group to, it's still a Wednesday, but the second Wednesday of every month. There it is. So from September, we'll be in the same place, same time, but instead of the first Wednesday, which is the second Wednesday of every month. So hopefully that makes people's schedules a bit easier around having to get out of the office 3 days in a row to come along. Cool, all good. But yeah, all the notifications will be on the meetup group anyway, so just keep an eye out for that email that you get sent to invite you to the next session. That'll be good, cool. That's me. So I'm going to pass over to Daryl and Bahan. We're going to talk about Windows 10 anniversary. Tell us what's new. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Does that need explaining? The Ninja Cat. They came up with another desktop image for that, but that's just a punchy way.
She's a girl, allegedly. That's what I've heard. Not So, as some of you may be aware, Microsoft released the Windows 10 Anniversary Edition yesterday, which was codenamed Redstone. It's been an interesting year with all the updates going on. I don't know if any of you guys are on the Insider. Anyone in the Insider program? All the Insider getting the updates as they went along. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, it's been like felt like every day there was a new build of Windows coming out. So, sorry?
Playing with your Outlook, rebuild.
Rebuild. So there's updates coming out for the PC, tablet, phone, Xbox, Microsoft HoloLens, and the IoT. But tonight we're just going to focus on the PC versions. You've got the consumer and the enterprise updates.
Oh, and just a proviso to go easy on us because it's only just come out, and I know some of us were kind of on the insider loops way back since day dot. But yeah, maybe we should have you guys up here helping present.
There's some of the key features that have come out for the consumer version. You've got the Windows Ink. Have you done one?
Oh yeah, we'll jump in.
I'm
Play now, we'll do it on the desktop.
Cool. Windows Hello has got a lot more integrated now. So in fact, before Windows Hello was only designed to log into the computer itself. Now you can use it to log into applications and websites as well, which I think is a brilliant thing that's happening. And you can also use companion devices with the Windows Hello. Cortana's been improved in a lot more ways. It helps stay synced across multiple devices as well.
Regan said that there was something about the availability in New Zealand-ish.
Regan didn't say anything.
Yeah. What was the trick?
Australia.
When you're not forced to change your region to another country now to turn it on. You can actually activate it and select the Cortana language to a different country, Australia or US that's supported. So yeah, you don't have to jump through hoops to turn it on, but it's still not supported officially in this
So
country.
we still have to pretend to be Aussies.
For Americans, depends whether you want to say Oakland or Auckland.
All right.
Is there any timeline for local support?
I don't have a timeline for that, but it works pretty well if you set yourself to Australia. You then just have to have an Australian Cortana voice. Which doesn't work so well. I didn't say any of that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's not recorded.
Yeah, you're recording it. You're the one.
No,
Never mind.
it wasn't me, it was somebody else.
Yeah.
So the Edge browser's got extensions added to it. So the likes of LastPass, AdBlock are available now as extensions within Microsoft Edge. Xbox Gaming, there's the ability to play everywhere. So if you've got one game that you're playing on one device and you move to another device, you're able to follow that through. Tablet mode's been improved, so if you are using any sort of hybrid device or tablet device like Surface, it's a lot better usage of that. It's more like the 8.1 experience, which was lacking within the first release of Windows 10. Store's been improved. There's better UI design. Start menu, we'll show you that in a second and how that's changed. And the Action Center makes things much more easier. There's one other feature that I wanted to mention, which was the Windows Defender, the block at first sight. That's a new thing that's come out. So Defender's got two new features that are really interesting. One is the offline scan, so you can do offline scans with Windows Defender. And there's the block at first sight, which allows, if you get a file that Microsoft thinks is malicious, or Defender thinks is malicious, if you've enabled it, it will send that file to Microsoft, and within about 1 to 4 seconds, it will actually block that file and say, hey, I think this is malicious, I'm not going to let it run. So that came out with 1607 with the new build. In terms of the enterprise updates, got the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection.
Yeah, I could give a little explanation on that. So, for a while on devices, we've been able to have like a bubble around some of those Microsoft apps that we have. So, if you're wanting to protect your corporate data on an Outlook as an app, and let's say someone leaves the business or is fired, that you can do that and remove the business data without blitzing the whole device. And so that kind of concept has now been extended to the Windows desktop. It's more friendly in extending that bring your own device scenario where using, I think we go into it in a bit more detail on another slide, but using the apps that are within the start menu or Microsoft apps that have been signed below will support this behavior. So it's bubbling the corporate data within the application and then being able to keep that quite separate and safe from the consumer experience.
So Windows Hello for Business is being introduced, so you've got two-factor authentication on PCs and mobile devices as well. Being able to connect to a remote Active Directory joint machine. And there's been better management introduced of the start menu as well. Do you want to talk about the...
Yeah, so that's just going into a couple of those features on the list. So looking at Windows Information Protection. So yeah, I did explain some of this already, but it's something that did ship with Anniversary. So there was a few things in place. I think Windows Information Protection was known by something else before that. Does anyone know, Regan? Anyone online know?
Yeah. Um,
MD something, or yeah, I forget. It's one of those acronyms. There's plenty of them in the Microsoft world. But it was known by another name, and now the anniversary updates come out, it enables that true bubbling and separation of the information. There's a number of the features here that, like, I've only just got the Windows update onto my machine. I'm not part of the corporate network, so there's a few things that I can't really demonstrate and tell or show you, but we do have a ton of references at the end of the presentation that you can dip in and have a look at. One of the things that I think it's part of this feature is that being able to block that copying of information from, let's say, Outlook and into a consumer app like Facebook. You know, trying to find some other avenue for copying information out of that corporate environment. So that's one of the features that it can block and prevent from happening.
Rights management service.
Yeah, so it does complement that rights management service. It's taken it to that next level with applications. Right. So yeah, as you can tell, I've thrown a few things together as part of my late homework. But this is more around the enrollment of the device and how that kind of works together. Is that good enough as an explanation? No, probably not. It does back end to a web dashboard. I haven't seen this demonstrated live, but this is where you can control that experience and create policies around how the software and the security works with Windows information protection. So it does follow that: create the policy, create your rules, push out the policy, leveraging MDM and Intune to make that possible. And nice that there's a dashboard that we can run that from and see how things are performing. I think, like, if I compare this to an equivalent service in 365, there's been similar kind of protections within Exchange, and then going into SharePoint, where it was about trying to protect you from copying credit card numbers and sending those out via email. So you can get these policies to behave in the same way, where do you want to just block it? Just throw it out there and say, what are you doing? You can't do that. Or at a second level, yeah, we'll allow you to do it and override it, but just know that we've logged it somewhere. Or the third level, in the sense that we'll let it happen and we'll just quietly make record of it and go see transgressors later on. Fourth, to just turn it off. So yeah, similar sorts of things that we've seen in Exchange and SharePoint already, and it's really just widening that to more than just specific services. It's now about that holistic desktop. So if you can get your head around that, it means that there's more potential for people to bring along their own devices to work, and you can have these policies in place so that they can use those devices, use the things that they are familiar with and work well with, while protecting your corporate data.
So the start menu management has been improved within the enterprise version, so we're able to remove the logoffs from the start menu, change the frequent programs from the start menu. So there's a whole bunch of things that have been included. We've got the jump lists included now as well, and you can actually move applications into the app tile list as well. As you can see on the left-hand side, it's changed completely from what was the initial release. You've now got the lovely buttons on the left there for the File Explorer settings and power. Much nicer to use within the anniversary edition. And all this can be controlled through group policy as well.
Does anyone run quite a lockdown environment for their networks, where they need to only approve certain applications? Maybe not. I remember working in a workplace probably 8 to 10 years ago, where we literally nailed it down with group policy to make it feel like a kiosk. And this is kind of giving that same ability, but within the Windows 10 environment. Delivering up, here's the tiles that are going to be the apps that we want to appear in the start menu, and then also on the taskbar as well.
So within the taskbar, you've got the ability to pin different applications based on group policy. So the ones that are on the left, the blue circles, are apps that are pinned by the user. the orange triangles, that's sorry, the ones to the left are the default Windows apps. The orange triangles are the ones that are pinned by the user, and then there's applications that are defined by XML files that are pinned to the green ones on the right-hand side. So if you do have a lockdown environment, a lot of banks and things use this kind of thing, whereby they select what applications you have and where they go to make them get that custom feel all the way through. So that's able to be altered down within Windows 10.
Certainly simplifies support too with that standard setup.
This was a question I got asked a lot after Windows 8, especially around customizing the start menu because it was not as flexible as Windows 7. That's meant a lot to several of our enterprise customers.
Good. Yeah, so a few of those resources I kept adding into them as I kept dragging them in. Does anyone remember Nathan Mercer? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, he's authored one of the blog posts there on the list, some of the announcements around the enterprise features, and there's plenty more coming out. Like I said, it's really only been
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours-ish since it's come out. Those of you on the insider loop probably saw the build as it is today, all very close to it. So I guess I could flick out of that and try and demonstrate some of the things. Let's have a go. Just duplicate desktop. It's going to behave itself. Yes, good. It's fun. All right, Windows Inc. Who uses OneNote? Who uses something with a stylus or a pen or so this is kind of the evolution of that.
Just about you're actually not presenting your desktop on the back,
I'm
so
not.
we can't see it online.
Quick. Thank you, online audience. Let's quickly change that. Desktop. The only desktop. The stage is loading.
It can be fun.
Alright, this is good. Now we get some inception going on. We'll drag that out of the way. Very good. Alright, we're still in business. Just to make this a bit relevant. So, yeah, various different inking capabilities. You might have seen some of the videos. Now we can actually get our hands on it and play with it. I'm a big OneNote user. I love using ink, and I sometimes like to change and actually map out my thoughts rather than tappity-tap, delete. That's quite intrusive and interruptive. So, being able to do your sticky notes. So, yeah, we really have got a good post-it note. It doesn't mean I can wander over to Farron's desk and leave him a note and say call back such and such, but maybe you'll find this helpful. I haven't really played much with the sketchpad, but there's this ruler in here somewhere, which is supposed to be quite cool. So if I want to rule a line,
That's
try that. Oh, look. And you're not... Oh, there you go. I'm trying to go purposely wobbly.
But that's cool.
But yeah, I should have probably changed that colour. Let's see if I can find something better. Drag that ruler down. There I am. Alright, try that again. Hey, it's crashed. I mean, it has minimized.
There was a new update that one came out today. It was a new cumulative update.
Probably, yeah.
Did you get that one?
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah. So I have listened to a couple of podcasts regularly about Windows, Windows Observer, Richard Hay. He's got some good content. So one of his points about Windows 10 now with Anniversary Update is that it doesn't have to be perfect on release day, because they've now got the mechanisms in place where they can get most of that key stuff in place, working. Rulers, how important is that on the bug list? Maybe we'll just throw that in an update just quietly in the background. It's not such a big deal. So, yeah, Windows 10 now with how it's placed makes that much more possible. Also kind of set as Windows as a service, I guess. One thing that I wanted to make better use of is this ink screenshot. So that's just taking a quick picture of my desktop, and now I can ink over that and say, well, that's me over there. I've got far in it. Then if we go over here, then we can kill off the defenders in the game. I don't know. It feels like an NBA thing. But if some of you do presenting, like you might have come across a tool called Zoom It before. Really cool for being able to help those at the back of the room to focus on certain content, especially the demos. And so what I'm hoping, and I was given some feedback, is that maybe this could be built in too. Make a screenshot and then pinch Zoom, which doesn't work at this stage, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. So we've got various options to have been able to save that. Whether you want to put it as a PNG, I think you can push it somewhere out to various apps as well. You can push it into OneNote on your desktop or tweet about it. Let me do that. Oh look, I haven't even logged in yet, so we'll just leave that for now. Alright, so that's Windows Ink. Now as far as the start menu is concerned, it's a little more compact. I'm able to scroll through an alphabetical list of the applications. I can customize my start menu like I used to before with dragging around tiles. I was kind of one of those believers in 8.1. I quite liked the full screen tile thing because it made me able to, customize a big screen. So when that's not possible, I'm usually start menu, search for the app, hit enter as soon as I see it. So this is probably more useful for those who are used to clicking through the layers. So that still helps them.
It is good, like I'm an 8.1 big screen person preferably anyway, and I usually type what I want, but it is good on the tablet that you actually just touch the A, B, whatever, and then you get your menu. And you can do that because that's seamless on the tablet, on the PC, on the phone.
Yeah.
So that's always cool. But people tend to forget that. That should be pushed a bit more.
It's under M, Maps. Alright, Microsoft Edge, not just Edge. Alright, so
if you really like the full screen one, you can set it on in your settings as well.
I can. In fact, that's as simple as doing this. So over in our, we'll have a look at the Action Center soon. That's kind of tied it up. Flick over to tablet mode. Transformer. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of apps there, but
in the measure one?
Yeah.
You can also go into your settings and set that on as a non-tablet mode too. If you want to.
Permanently.
Yep.
Just go to settings and search for start.
This is good. System settings.
Just type startup.
Start. Settings. See, this is interactivity. This is where we're learning from the audience.
You start full screen.
You start full screen. All right. Cool. Easy setting. Any other tips that people have learned? Who were those that were doing Windows Insider early on? Yeah. What did you find while you were going through it? Stuff that was good and stuff that wasn't.
Inking stuff on Surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main one of those.
Yeah. How about you?
Windows Container Service.
The dev in the house. Yeah. Come up, 5 minutes, quick. Tell us about it. Oh, no, 5 minutes, even 5 minutes now, please. Okay, look, you can see how formal we are. I'm not prepared. Not really.
From a Microsoft person's point of view, one of the biggest things is that they're taking the feedback from insiders. They're not making a decision like this option to use start full screen, for example. They've defaulted back to the old style start menu, but if you really like the Windows 8 start menu, they've given you the option to continue using that style menu. And you're seeing that a lot more around the product and the way they're developing for it as well. But they're really listening. If you are a Windows insider and you are feeding back, they're using that quite heavily to determine how they design the product. And if you do say, look, we want both options, then they're also working on that as well, making sure that they can incorporate it. It's pretty cool.
So I thought I'd show you how to give you feedback. It is an app, no surprises there. Probably feeds off to a user voice forum. Has anyone used user voice here? I like that. We won't wait for that to load. I'll give my feedback later. So keeping things moving along. The Action Center, if you're used to using an Action Center on your mobile devices, whether it be Android, iOS, and Windows, this this is helpful, particularly around using it as a tablet as well. But I find that there's just a bit more control over those notifications. I often have things set to quiet hours, especially when I'm presenting. I don't really want to fling up alerts saying my kids forgot their shoes and stuff while I'm in an online meeting. But yeah, better experience there for the alerts and flicking through things. There's not a lot there at the moment because it's just being reinstalled.
Is that your search button?
Search again? Search button.
On the taskbar there.
That one. Oh, we've got to say something about
the
Cortana.
settings button. Settings cog.
Settings cog. Yep. Cortana language. Oh, I haven't chosen one yet.
That's right. I thought we'll
That was not Regan that suggested it. I've probably just broken it. Yeah. Making
That's
sure.
right. That's
Doubling
what we
it.
expected.
Hey, Cortana. No. Okay. Need some training later. Ask me anything. Try
That's,
one.
that's how it rolls.
Yeah, we'll look at that later. But it is bringing in some local information, as you can see. So it's not so much that we've changed the language to make that possible, but I would say it's using location settings as well. Nice to know that there's heavy traffic at 6:30 still. So yeah. We do want to give some time still for Reza as well to present his cool content. But yeah, again, we're leaving it open. Certainly want to hear from you about Container later on. But yeah.
There's Bash as well we can talk about. It's, the multi-user experience now with the PC, so you can have multiple users logging onto the same device, and it manages it all in separate containers and deletes it. There's a whole bunch of other features that you spend hours on.
Yeah, Azure AD Join, which has been around for a while, but now you can connect to that machine as if it were an extension of your network and remote control and RDP to it. Tons of stuff. But we will hand over to Reza. Thank you very much for being a good audience.
You're running the Skype meeting on your machine, or is it?
Still a
Web edition.
so there's no HDMI on there.
Cool, thank you. Oh, that's the second video.
Just very much like just controlling it from there, so if you're happy to drag it over.
It's a part of the office. Kind of like
This one works well.
behind. Right, so you know how you
And your life.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for coming to the session, and I just have 45 minutes, I believe, so I'll promise to keep it quick. If you have any questions later on, just come and ask. So a little bit about me. I'm Reza Red, Microsoft Data Platform MVP for about 6 years, and author of some SQL Server and BI books, and I'm also co-leader of New Zealand BI user group, which we usually have our meetings last Wednesday of every month in this room. So more than happy for anyone of you to come along. First of all, thank you, Daryl, Nick, Reagan, and Farhan for the opportunity to present. This session will be mostly demos. How many of you worked with Power BI before?
Right.
Good. How many of you worked with any reporting tools before? Cool. So today I'm showing you Power BI, which is a reporting and data analysis tool, and it will be mostly demos. If you have any questions, just let me know. We will have an introduction of Power BI first, then components of Power BI, what are the Power BI, a little bit demo of Power BI desktop and website version of Power BI, and some features in the website Power BI. So introduction to Power BI. Power BI is released in July 2015 as the new Power BI version, but it was actually in the market from 2010 when the first component of it come along, which was Power Pivot. You probably heard about Power Pivot in Excel, which is the first component of Power BI. All other components came along later on as add-in for Excel, like Power Query, like Power Map. You probably heard about those. So these are 5 main components of Power BI: Power Query, Power Pivot, Power Map, Power Q&A, and Power View. Lots of power in this session. So Power Query is a self-service ETL tool. ETL means extracting data from different sources, doing data transformation, loading that into some destinations. So it's a tool that you can do all data transformations, and not all of them, most of the data transformations through a graphical user interface. You just drag and drop, use some menu options, and do data transformations. You don't usually need to write any code, but if you want to write any code, you can do that through a functional language behind the scene. Power Pivot is the modeling engine for Power BI, which means you create tables, relationship between tables, and you define calculated columns and measures like year to date, like rolling 12 months, these kind of measures and calculations through a language called DAX, Data Analysis Expression. And because Power Pivot using X velocity in memory engine, so that's the response time of that is super fast, but it loads everything into the memory, so you should be careful about the memory size that you have for that. Power View is the visualization engine of Power BI, which means if you build a chart or visualization that's interactive, if I highlight something on pie chart, other areas will be highlighted as well, and I can see how hovering on different things will affect on my chart. So that's also a visualization component of Power BI. And Power Map is 3D geospatial visualization component of Power BI. If I want to visualize something on map, if I have latitude, longitude information, or if I have full address, like street address, city, state, all those kind of things, then I can put it in a Power Map with showing different measures. One measure as a height of column chart, and Power Q&A is an engine that works on top of a Power BI model that you can ask questions from Power BI and get responses in a visualization way. Something like show me my sales revenue by different cities in last year or something like that. This will give you a response from Power BI. Now Power BI Desktop is actually report authoring tool or report development tool that has been released July 2015. It's only 1 year from that time. And this Power BI Desktop actually has 3 components in it, which is Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View, which means I can connect to different data sources, do data transformation, load that into my model, which is my my in-memory model in Power BI, and build something as a visualization as a report and publish that into Power BI Web Service. If I publish that into Power BI Web Service, then I can browse that report to mobile devices. It's fully HTML5 supported. So not all, most of mobile devices like Android, Apple, and Windows Phone are supported. And Power BI Desktop is a free tool, so you can download it and start working with that. Many data sources are supported. Power BI is a cloud service, but it can connect to on-premises data sources as well. If I have a on-premises Oracle or SQL Server or CSV file sets in a shared folder or anything like that, I can connect to those. If I have Azure SQL Server or Azure SQL Database, any Azure services is supported as a source, or even some softwares as a source, like Salesforce, like CRM Online, MailChimp. Those kind of software can be used as a source. And creating relationship between tables is easy. I just drag and drop and create relationships, and visualization is also easy and effective. I'll show you how this works in a quick demo.
Can you extend the visualizations with your own?
Yes. In Power BI, you can create your own custom visual. It's a kind of TypeScript, JavaScript type of experience, but yeah, you can. So let me bring this one here.
If you're coming to the MS Ignite conference, then we'll have somebody talking about custom visualizations in Power BI at that conference. One of the guys from the engineering team from Power BI, in fact.
Cool. Thank you. So this is Power BI Desktop. I already downloaded and installed it. You can download and install it for free. And I can connect to many data sources. My starting point is usually getting data. So I'll get data from SQL Server, but as you can see, it's actually supporting many data sources. I can get data from files like CSV, XML, text, JSON, even a folder or a SharePoint folder. Many data sources, MySQL, SQL, Teradata, and Azure data sources, Azure HT Insight, or anything that you can get data from Azure. Some softwares as a sources, even Facebook, you can download list of your Facebook friends and do something with that. You can get something from GitHub, or many data sources is supported, even Spark, or you can just query a web URL which includes a table, HTML table, or more than one HTML table. Okay, for this one, I'll be using database as a source and SQL Server database. Sorry, the database that I'm using is an old sample of Microsoft, which is POPs database. POPs is a database that has some information about some book title published and sold through different stores. So we have sales transaction, store information, titles information, and authors information. So as you can see, when I connect to that SQL Server box, it shows me all the databases that I have access to. I'll choose POPs database. And here are some tables that I have. I'm interested in sales. I can click on sales, and this shows me that these are sample data that I have in sales. So this is my data navigator, that I can click on any of these data sets and choose the data set that I want to, or choose multiple data sets. So I want sales and stores and titles for this example. Right? I can click on edit and edit that data, but for now I'll just load it because I don't want to make any transformation on that. When I load it, you can see that this is loading the data into the memory. That's what I've mentioned about in-memory solution, because the data is a small data set, so it doesn't actually take that much long time. Now you see that I have my tables. Let me zoom in. Zoom it. Okay. So, oops, sorry. Okay, doesn't like that. Okay, yeah. Why when I click? Doesn't. Okay, yeah. So here are my 3 tables loaded. I can expand and see the fields under that as well. Before that, I'll go to the relationship tab, and I see the tables and the relationships, because I'm getting this data from a SQL Server relational database. So there are some relationship between tables in that database. So this understands the relationship between those and creates that automatically here. Like there's a relationship between sales and the stores based on the store ID, and between sales and titles based on title ID. But if I'm getting data from CSV file or Excel file, usually the relationship creates based on the name of columns, which is not always correct, because the ID of store, you do not want to join that with the ID of titles or ID of sales. So usually you have to review here and change the relationship if you like. I can click on this and change the relationship to another column, make it one to many, many to one, or anything like that. For now, I won't change it because the relationship is correct. So I'll go to the report tab, and I'll start building something very easy. So I'll expand sales, and I have quantity of sales here. If I click on quantity, this shows me the quantity in the column chart, which is the default visualization for measures. And I want to show something in the x-axis, so I'll expand titles, and from titles I'll choose title. So this shows me a simple column chart with titles as x-axis, and height of column is actually quantity of my sales, right? And this is customizable as well. If I want to do any formattings, I go to this section here, which has all the formattings. If I want to change data colors, I can change it to something different. I can change anything like background color. Turn it on and change it to something like this. And I can make my title bigger. Put it in the center. Put the background for the title. Anything like that. So it's easy to build a visualization. So once I've built that visualization, I can actually interact with this visualization. So if I click on something, this will highlight that that's actually option. I can click with control and choose 2 items together. And if I have another chart here, this will talk to each other. So if I have, let's say, another chart, this one is a tree map, which is good for showing categories. So in this one, I'll be showing type of titles in the group, and again quantity in the values. So this shows me that I have most of sales in psychology. If I click on psychology, I only see books that has been authored under this category and their sales amount, right? Any questions so far?
What did you call that visualization?
This one?
Yeah.
This one is here and called tree map.
Tree map.
Yeah.
It's called what?
Tree map.
Tree map.
Yeah. And
it's
I can.
like a tree.
It's like an even worse version of a pie chart.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Large chart gone wrong.
Yeah, we do have even Donut chart here.
Rectangles make a tree.
Yeah. And I can put some details on this. So under this, I can put details which can be titled. So here now I can see that this title, for example, This title actually solved most, which is anger the enemy or something.
Slightly more useful than pie chart.
Yeah.
It's the same reciprocally if you click on one on the left-hand side, it will show on the right-hand side?
Yes. You mean if I click on this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. And if I don't want, let's say, these two charts to talk with each other, I can actually set that up. So I can go to the formatting, and in the edit interaction, I say that these two, I don't want to interact with each other. Let's them to be totally separate. So that's in terms of the visualization. I can put as many as charts as I want, and this is my page one. I can add as many as pages I want and put the visualization there as well, and rename pages to whatever I want. Right. Some kind of calculations is also possible into Power BI. So here you can see that I have quantity of sales, which is this one. I don't have sales amount, but I have the price of each title here under titles. Right. So I can create a calculation which says quantity by quantity multiplied by makes sales amount. Let's keep it simple. We don't have any rebates or discount or anything like that. So I'll go to the data tab here. Here, which is data tab. And in this data tab, I see all my data tables with a sample, actually preview of the data. And if I click on sales, for example, these are my sales transactions. I can go to the modeling and create a new column here. When I create a new column, I usually define a name for that. Let's say sales amount. And then I define the calculation. The calculation here is based on a calculation language called DAX, or a query language called DAX, which is data analysis expression, which is similar to Excel. You know, in Excel, when you create a column, you can say this column is equal to that column multiplied this column, and you just click on column. So here I can do the same. So this column, I want this to be quantity. When I click on quantity, you see that this comes along, which is quantity from sales. So quantity is the field name, and sales is the table name, right? So I want this multiplied by the price from titles table, because title is a different table. It's not in this table. So I cannot simply say that multiplied by title. Title is a different table that is related to this table through a relationship. DAX is smart enough to understand the relationship, but I have to use a function to show that goes through that relationship. That function, there are many functions for relationship, but the function that I will be using here is related. So I simply can say related, and related asks which column from the related table I want to get from. So I want to get that from price, and you can see that price from titles comes up, and I press enter. When I press enter, this automatically do the calculation and brings the result here, right? So easily I can do a calculation like that, and this will store the data in my memory as well. And when I go back to my visualization, now I can change this one. Instead of quantity by title, I remove that quantity and bring sales amount. And now this is sales amount by title, right? And I can see that Still is Anger the Enemy is the bestseller book here, but there are some other books that sell better, sell good as well, like Secrets of Silicon Valley and some others. Right. Any questions so far? All good? Right. So that's the experience of doing calculations and creating something in a data analysis. I can get the data from different sources. Right now, you've seen that I got data from SQL Server database. Part of this data can come from the SQL Server database. Part of it can come from a CSV file. I can then combine that with the data that comes from a web page, or part of the data coming from Facebook, combine all of these. The way that I do that is through the Edit Queries window. which actually is Power Query component of my Power BI solution. So in Power Query, I'll do the data transformation. You see that these are my 3 tables in Power Query. And if I want to get another piece of data, let's get some data from SQL Server again. I got the data from for sales and stores, but I don't have data for authors. Authors is in this database, so I'll get that from here, which is authors table. Authors and titles are many-to-many relationship. Each author might wrote more than one title. Each title might be written with more than one author, so I'll bring authors and title author together. So now I have these 2 tables here, and inside author, I do have author full name and first name and last name. I don't have a full name for it, so I can simply create another column here, add custom column, which I named this to be author full name, and this will be author first name, concatenated, concatenation character is ampersand, space, and the last name. And this will generate author full name for me. Right. Easy to use. When I close and apply, then I'll see author full name there, and I can create another chart here, let's say another column chart with author full name in the column nexus, and the value to be sales amounts in column values. So now I see that, for example, Albert Ringer and Anne Ringer, these are my 2 bestsellers and which books they are sold, and all those kind of information. Any questions so far? All good? So once I built my report, then I can publish it to Power BI desktop. Power BI website. So Power BI website is where actually we host our Power BI report. I can build whatever I want, then publish it into Power BI website. For publishing to Power BI website, I do need a Power BI account, which you can create for free. All you need is an email account, not a public like Gmail, Yahoo, or those kind of emails, but your organization emails can be used for creating Power BI account. When you create a Power BI account, then you can simply just publish your report there. When you publish your report, then there are mobile apps, which again are free, and people can connect to their Power BI reports through the mobile apps if they have access to these Power BI reports. Yes?
We can't print it out of the desktop or printer, can you?
Yep, you can. If you want to, you can print.
Go through the website to do that?
No, you can print it on the desktop, but usually when you create your report, you want this to be scheduled automatically to refresh. So these things are things that you can do in the Power BI website.
I've only been able to go to the Power BI website to get a PDF printout of the Power BI.
Yeah, from Power BI website you can also print.
I can't do it off my standalone notebook.
You can do that, but then you need to do a refresh anytime.
I understand that.
Yeah, you can. So let me show you how I can actually publish this to Power BI. So I'll go to my Power BI website account. If you want to create an account, here is you have to go sign up free and you enter your email address, and that's all. So I'll sign in with my account.
Not showing on the introduction.
Oh, sorry. Right, so. Password with 0. Right. So if I have a set of reports in my Power BI account as a dashboard, I will see those immediately in my Power BI account, like this. This is a sample report of Microsoft, and if I go to my workspace, which is normally where all my landing is, I see all the dashboards, reports, and data sets that I have. For every file that I publish to Power BI website, I will have a report and data set. Report is the visualization side of that. Data set is the data side of the report. So what I'll do is I'll go to here in my Power BI desktop. You can see this little thing here that shows that actually I'm logged into Power BI desktop. So if I click on that, this shows my login information. If I haven't logged in, that's all fine. When I click on publish, this asks me to log in. So when I click on publish, usually I have to save the file first. So let me unclick on these and publish and save. I save this as something like cloud infrastructure user group, let's say. And after saving, this will go to publish immediately. I can publish to my workspace, which is the normal place I usually publish, or I can publish to different groups. I can. This works with Office 365 group, so I can be part of a sales Office 365 group, an IT Office 365 group, and each of these groups has their own set of reports or something like that. So I'll publish that to my workspace, and that's almost all you need to do for publishing the report. So after publishing the report, I can go to my Power BI website again, which is here, and here is my report. When I click on that, I'll see exactly the same thing in Power BI website, and I can actually apply some changes here as well. So I can click on Edit Report, and I can change this to be, instead of sales amounts, to be something like quantity or anything like that. So I have the ability to change this.
And so therefore you now can share that link that has the information on screen as you see today with something else?
Yeah. How can we?
Yeah.
So for sharing a Power BI report, there are different options. So when I publish my Power BI report in Power BI website, I can either create a dashboard out of that first. A dashboard is a kind of high-level view of my report, something that I want to look at every day, like the total values. And if I click on that total, then it drills down into the report. So I cannot share the report itself, but I can share the dashboard. And the dashboard, when I share that, that's a link that I share with different people, and they will see if they have access to. Or if I want to give this access to everyone in the world, then I can publish that report to web. Let me show you here. So if I go to the publish to web option here, then this create an embed code, which is this URL here or this embed code. And if I embed that into any web page, everyone will see all the reports, right? And if I want to share it with specific people in my application, if I have a .NET application or any applications like that, which I have users as part of my application, and I want to share this report for those users, which they don't have a Power BI account, I can do that with Power BI Embedded, which is Azure service, which subscription of that goes through Azure subscription. So,
are the embedded versions interactive as well, or is it just a static?
You mean if I click? Yes.
So if you embed it in a web page,
yes,
it's all interactive.
Yeah. I won't have this part.
Yeah, but just the.
But just the interactive part of this. Yes.
Cool.
Can you fire up a private browser and show us?
Opening that in the browser, you mean?
Well, just depending on the time, because Res is a bit.
Yeah. But this is the URL. If I open that in the same browser or any other browser, it will do exactly the same. Yeah. Right. So that's.
Just using the desktop and the web to build the reports. You can use one or the other, can't you?
If I use web, I can use the website to build the reports as well, but then I can't do calculated columns or something like that, that you've seen the author full name that I've created, or or the sales amount. So this has to be built in my database before connecting to that.
So you can do that either in Excel or in the...
Or in SQL Server. Or
Okay, so the Power BI desktop you download is the same. It's got Power Query in it.
yeah. So Power BI Desktop gives me the Power Query and Power Pivot, which is not here in Power BI website. Yeah.
Or you could add it into the Excel client anyway.
Yeah, I connect to that, and in Excel client I can do those kind of things, but not in the Power BI Desktop. Yeah. Or sorry, Power BI website. Right. When I built my report, let's say I'm interested to build a dashboard out of that. So I'll create a new dashboard here. Cloud Infrastructure User Group, I call that again. And I pin some of these. So the dashboard would be actually my, where's that Cloud Infrastructure? Yep. The dashboard would be my, let's say, day-to-day view of the report. I won't save this. So this would be my dashboard, right? And I can see that in the mobile view as well. I can choose that what it would look like in the mobile view. So in mobile view, it will look like this. I can change it a bit.
It's like cards, isn't it? So it's just...
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I can change the order of this, make it bigger, smaller, all those kind of things. And anytime I click on any of these dashboards, this will drill down into the report for me, right? So now that I have the dashboard, I have some other features that I will show you afterwards. So before that, I'll continue the slides. The next thing is custom visualization. So the question that can we create our own visuals? Yes. There are a bunch of visualization in Power BI, like column chart, pie chart, tree map, all those kind of things that you've seen. But there are many other visualizations that are not like these visualizations. These visualizations are custom visuals that I can create my own custom visual in Power BI, or I can use a set of custom visuals that others actually have built already. So if I go to how can I get rid of this? Yeah. Okay. So if I go and search for Power BI Visual Gallery, which is Power BI app.powerbi.com/visuals, I will see all the visuals that third parties built. Some of these has been built by Microsoft itself, some of them by different companies, like this one here in particular. That's a really good visualization that I can create a layout of a shop, store. It can be human body, it can be exterior or interior of a car or anything like that. I can define regions on that and map that to my data points in dataset, and this then color code which areas I have more values, which areas I have less. And this is really cool type of visualization, because then I can show stuff like this. Let me show you something here, which is for injuries. Quite cool. So this visualization that you see here is a kind of data set for injuries, which I have built a human body image as part of this custom visual and defined the regions on that. And it's kind of interactive like any other chart in the Power BI. So here is my total values, total hours worked, and total days lost as part of these injuries, color coded. I can see that I have more injuries on head and foot and hand rather than tummy, neck, or different areas. And if I click on head, for example, this shows me that I have 18 injuries in head and no days lost. That might be just a headache or something like that. If I click on foot, I see 17 injuries, which is almost the same, and total days lost 42. So this is kind of very good visualization. And if I compare this visualization with the visualization right-hand side, which is saying exactly the same thing. The one with human body is much more effective in terms of the visualization. So there are massive amount of things that you can do with
Draw
this
one
visual.
conclusion there that in working for Kiwi Oil, you better watch your back, right?
Good point. Right, so any questions on this? One last thing I want to show you is in Power BI website, which is here that I'm right now. When I have a dashboard on my reports and I'm a visualization, then I can use Power Q&A, which is asking normal questions, English language questions, and getting responses from the model. So here I build a model on publications, books, authors. So if I click on this little thing here, it says ask a question about the data, then I can ask questions. So I want to see all sales transactions. So I just type sales, and you can see sales transaction underneath, right? If I want sales amount, which is the field that I have created, you see that sales amount and the total of sales amount because I didn't formatted the decimal point of that. You see that decimal point, right? But I can change that later on. I can say sales amount by city, which is a field in the store table. I haven't built this visualization before. You've seen that. So this is just creating that visualization for me. And the bar chart here is saying that these are cities and the amount of sales amount. I can show that as map. And this will automatically create that on map because it's using Bing Map for that. Usually with only city, it won't show me a right place. For example, this place here probably is not the place that in my data set because it's just for city. That city might be in different countries. Usually when I'm using mapping, a map visualization, then I have to have a full address, city, state, country, those kind of things, which I can create that in calculated columns in Power Query. And when I build this thing, I do also have the ability to change it from here as well. So I can start from here, change it from here, and whenever I feel that this is good, then I pin that visual in my dashboard. And now when I go back to my dashboard, that's already in my dashboard. Right? So very useful for especially business users, power users to understand how the data works through. Any questions? All good. So I think that was almost everything I wanted to say. If you have any questions, these are some references to study more. I'll share that with Nick, and Nick will probably share it with you. And if you are also interested in Power BI training and consulting, that's what I do every day. So keep in touch, and thank you for coming along.